Ladies and gentlemen, Marshall here. Welcome to a 1 versus 1 in PA. This time, we have a naval game for you. We are going to be naval gazing for the next half hour or so, 20 minutes. Let's see how we do. In black, or gunmetal grey as I like to call it, we've got Dreadnought. No, we haven't. We've got Kiwi. It's a small Kiwi this time. Small Kiwi. Will he be underpowered by his smallness? I don't know. Small Kiwi. Right about there. Naval first. Into one fab. Assisting it out. Going into 2 mechs and then a follow-up factory thereafter. Let's have a Gander. A Dread. He's assisting out 2 fabs. 1 mechs. Or rather, assist out 1 fab, mechs assist out 2nd fab, air factory, those 2 fabs then going up for the rest of the metal 3rd fab, and then probably some gunboats. Indeed, we've got some piranhas coming out there. Now, for Kiwi, only 2 fabricators into the piranhas. 2 of them, and also an air factory. So we've got a little bit of a disparity here to begin with already. Notice the difference in build orders. This is going to mean that Dreadnought has got a bit more buildability in the early game. It means he's going to have a bit more eco-centric approach, because the more fabs that you get, the more energy that you're going to need to be able to support those fabs. And Dread has 3, and look at that. Struggling with his power, hence why his commander is going straight into the power game there. No use of the air factory yet because of those power woes, so perhaps he'll edit his build after this game. Yes, we do have a couple, but we don't have consistent building coming out yet. Meanwhile, Kiwi, expanding straight to the 4. More moderate original base. Commander just assisting rather than going super heavy on resources just yet. Kiwi, though, a little bit behind in the metal expansion and eco building, but he's got much more mobility during this game. Also, apologies in advance, there is a cat who is probably going to be a bit disruptive. So if I say anything about that, I do apologise, or if I have to pause or I'll cut the video in any way, I do apologise. Dread here, though, going for vehicle factory as a 3rd. And a 2nd naval factory at the expansion. Vehicle factory is going to be able to get out drifters, which means he's going to go and pressure this island here and potentially also just send the drifters up into the back of Kiwi's base. Drifters, of course, are hover tanks. They can go over water and lava, if you are unfamiliar with them. Very potent on naval maps because they are immune to torpedoes, as are any hover vessels, which includes fabricators and piranhas. Torpedo launchers do not touch these units. Torpedo launchers only touch the units that actually have some kind of draft in the water. A couple of orcas out now for Dread. Of course, the changes recently in the balance update mean that orcas no longer have torpedoes. They just have a good, decent bit of range. So the narwhals now have the torpedoes. Having a look, though, Kiwi's sending a few units to sort of shore up the routes in here. So we've got this torpedo launcher. That's going to deal with any subs, narwhals and orcas that come up through this little trench between the bases here, but they won't be able to deal with any piranhas that do the same. Of course, as I already said, they go over the torpedoes. Presumably the units will deal with those at the same time. Elsewhere, though, you're just gradually expanding towards the equator for both sides. As far as factories are concerned, we got more for Dread, but he is a little behind on the metal expansion. We're going to get some fabs over to some of these islands that Kiwi seems less inclined to play for. You can tell that by the Pelican here and the vehicle fab, a very odd choice. But if you can get the vehicle fab down, then it's not liable to be sniped by air interceptors. Meanwhile, Kiwi, though, has just said, never mind that. I'm going to go straight with some air fabs. I've got the mobility. I'm going to go and do some stuff. And here we go. Drifters revealed. Not ideal. And it's been targeted on the factory rather than adapting to things that come out of it. So a little bit of miss micro there from Dread. And to be honest, I wouldn't have sent them 1-2, but maybe that was just a rally point. I suspect that might have just been a rally point. Can't quite tell. It's in the water, which is annoying. But by the by, I'm going to start playing around the backbone of backbone, because that is where we are. Don't forget that Dread is going into orbital in the sort of middle of his game here. We might see some gas giant play. If we zoom out, we can see that there. Kiwi, though, might have a little bit of trouble at home here. This Inferno. Can it get behind the factory and away from the commander? Dreadnought, wakey wakey. You've got to be watching these things. That could have killed off that air factory if a little bit more focus and attention was paid there. Where else could his attention be? Let's have a quick gander around. Got an orbital launcher coming up. Maybe he was setting the queue up for that. He was dropping some Pelican units over here, so maybe that was where the attention was. Setting up on this little island peninsula here is an interesting idea. We've got the spinner there as well to defend against the air that Kiwi is gradually building. The more that Kiwi gets, the more Dreadnought also has to get, otherwise he risks losing that air game. Bomber coming in a little too early. One air fab remains. That's pretty big there for Kiwi. Means he doesn't have to spend time rebuilding them immediately before he can continue expanding. Red, though, has fabs on the central short island there between the two bases. A little bit of some torpedo trades there. Of course, the sub outclasses the Naval add-on torpedoes, as it were. Always going to be the case. And here you can see that torpedo launcher is not targeting that fab because it cannot. Meanwhile, the fab is reclaiming the torp. Probably shouldn't really be worried about that. Should be worried about other things. Bomber has to do a second pass there. 2 bombs have to hit. Now we've got these turrets going up. That's the only thing that's going to get rid of those floating units there. Don't see... Ah, yes I do. Kiwi going up for his T2 Naval. A little low on metal to be doing that, I would have said. Maybe that's just me. But being quite far behind in eco and going T2. Interesting notion. Then again, all it's going to take is a little bit of raiding, and you'll be able to get there. Lots of Pelican action from Dread. We've got more Infernos being shipped around. Subs here again. Drifters immune. Torpedo launchers built on land will get rid of subs. Also, I think that might be too shallow an angle. Yeah, too shallow an angle. Dread has to just keep pushing into Kiwi now. This little base inside the backbone there. Taken out. Little bit of turtling going on, but there's more than enough subs here to deal with this. They should get focused down if micro occurs, but it doesn't look like it is. Focusing on the units is not ideal, and this Orca will also go down. Not good news. Inferno drop, killing off Expos, but doesn't kill the fab or the factory, so a bit of a waste, to be honest with you. We're using a lot of APM just to get tiny little picks here rather than actual wins, I would have said. Look at this Kiwi replenishing his air fabs and going straight back out to deal with them. And he's got his T2 up, going for Kaijus. They're just going to go straight across this land and into the base, and that's going to be a problem for Dread. The moment he sees that T2, it's going to be a problem for him. He doesn't see it yet. In fact, he hasn't really scouted the base in a long time. Got an Avenger, but he's not, like, you know, just a single, what are they called? Hermes, I think they are. Just to fly over, get a little bit of vision range would be hugely, hugely, hugely helpful. Just going to have a quick gander at the gas giant. What's he doing over here? Getting a little bit of a jig on. 36 metal and 9k power. These things have been nerfed in the recent balance patch. Cat, can you stop doing laps of my desk, please? Literally, jumps onto the desk, jumps onto the windowsill, jumps off the windowsill, walks around, jumps on the desk. Very, very frustrating. Here we go. Yeah, just chill out. Just chill out. That's right. Just chill out. So we got a different spectator tab up in the top left. I believe that's the army metal value. I'm not exactly sure what that value is. I seldom use this tab, but there you go. Looks like it might be metal value. Dread, I think, rushing up that T2, having just seen Kiwis. He's going to be thinking, oh gosh, if he's got T2, I've got a bit of worrying to do. And I suspect that might well be the case. Whether it'll be Kaijus or potentially Leviathans to try and break some of these turtles that Kiwi is doing. And indeed, look, Leviathan coming out for Kiwi now. That's not Leviathan, is it? Yes, it is. Gosh, it's been so long, I've forgotten what the icons mean. But, Orbital Fab's now Kiwi going to contest the gas giant. Gonna have to watch out for that. Look at this. So this is a good mark of high-level play. It's just constant replenishing of expansions. Kiwi just constantly has some airfabs in the queue here. And every so often, he'll get round to replenishing them, and they'll just go out and find some metal extractors that can be built on and go and build on them, because by that time there will be a few that have been lost. And that's how he's keeping up in the eco, albeit, I say keeping up, I mean he's behind, but it's how he's not falling ludicrously far behind, right? And that's the joy of the Leviathan, breaking these walls. Just gotta hit that fabricator there. Looks like he might just about do it. Oh. Missed, mate. Nothing, no use of that orbital fab yet. And what I'm also surprised by, and perhaps there'll be an explanation in the comments, is why no T2 fab has come out to start building T2 eco around the base. Because Kiwi is limited in how far he can expand, so I would have expected maybe a little bit of T2 eco to just prop him up a little bit to help him squeeze out these T2 units a little bit faster. Going for this super airplay here, though, is interesting. Because I believe Kiwi is sort of starting to realize, actually, I have an advantage in the air game here. And as long as I can defend in the naval, I can start to swamp in the air. He's got to play it very carefully, though, because of this economic disparity. All Dread needs to do is really just pump out a few air factories, or, yeah, there we go, T2 air. And with that superior eco, he will just get the edge in all of those engagements, which he has to be very, very careful of. He has to go and do some kind of economic expansion or raiding here on this gas giant. Right. That's jumping up onto the desk again. It's a bit mad. Oh. Heavy bombers. Are we... Ooh, the commander's head's out of the water. Are we going for a snipe from Kiwi? The thing is, in order to do this, he has to keep his bombers hidden. And there, look, he's just told them all to like assist that commander or something like that. He's got to keep them hidden from Dread. The moment Dread sees a bomber swarm, he's going to think, uh-oh, and start spamming out the Galata around his commander. Because as long as he doesn't see a massive air build-up, he might be reluctant to really power out this T2 air factory. And what Kiwi needs to do here is play the savvy political game. And this is an interesting part of it. The Leviathan T2 comes in. Got to focus down this Leviathan here. And I think Kiwi's just about going to win this trade. Yes, he will. Defending Leviathan goes down, gives Kiwi a chance. Although, Typhoon comes out. Few, whatchamacallums? Drone things, I forget their name. Squalls. Gonna finish the job. Now it's Kiwi again, gonna be on the defensive. Look at all of these bombers here. We have a lot, 24. Not quite one pass territory, and that's where we need to be. For this to work, we've got to be in one pass territory. It's interesting, though, that Dread has kind of let up on his attacks elsewhere on the map here. We've got a few, like, scraps going around on the back here. Just see by all these char marks where people have been trying to build little footholds and then abandon. But again, look at these! The air fabs just constantly there. And look, Kiwi actually has managed to get up more eco now because of it. Dread's let up on his raiding, and Kiwi has just gone around and expanded. And is any of it from the gas giant? No. So Dread's just sat there chilling with four of those. 4 jigs. But will the jig be up? We've got 42 bumblebees here. That is now one pass territory as long as they can get a safe approach vector. How much AA is there? There's 1 Galata, no narwhals, and the air is elsewhere. The air is elsewhere. Kiwi now has to make some kind of diversion to keep that air away, or do heavy micro with his own air. But look, he's got plenty of them there. He's got 14, which is more or less the same kind of numbers there. He has to be very, very careful. We've got to watch this closely. So as much as all the drops were happening earlier, and ooh, hello, and all of this nonsense is going on, the danger to the air, right, is the approach vector and also the typhoons. The squalls can deal with bumblebees if they're mismicroed. Kiwi has to use these soon, up to 21. The longer he waits, the more chance there is that Dreadnought sees and responds to this. And look, we've got T2 air coming out now. We're starting to see Phoenix. This is not good news. Does Kiwi know about this? No, he doesn't know what's in the base. This is something I see consistently with high-level play, is a lack of mid-late game scouting. Until the killer blow happens. If you see a high-level... If you're in a high-level... You know, I'll start again. If you're a high-level player, and it's mid-late game, and you see someone scouting your base, you should have alarm bells ringing, because that means they're looking for where your commander is. Okay? There's no other reason why high-level players actually scout your base, because as far as they're concerned, you're sticking to the meta. Right, here we go. Here comes the air. Are we gonna get a 1 pass? Are we gonna get a 1 pass? We might get a 1 pass. We're not gonna get a 1 pass. We get a 2 pass. Gorgeous stuff, and that's what happens when you don't scout. But Kiwi also knew, right? He also knew that Dread's commander would be somewhere in the base. And because the map is symmetrical, he knew that it would probably be somewhere near the original factories or T2 factory. Of course, he hadn't seen the T2 factory, he'd only seen the original one, but generally you don't build the T2 too far from the base because then it's less defensible. So he knew it would be somewhere around the original base. Hence the approach vector. And the approach vector came from wide, so it didn't cross over potential bases in the middle. It didn't cross over any units going over the trench. And it didn't get caught by anything else. Let's have a look at what the radar could see. Let's have a look at what Dread knew. Let's go back from here. He has no radar coverage of the Kiwi base. He has this coverage in the middle. Oops. There we go. That's as far as his radar goes. So he'll have seen it the moment it starts to cross over here. Could be any second. I say that. Many seconds later. Here we go. And he's probably looking somewhere else while this is happening. Do we see air mobilize in response? There we go. There it comes. In response. Way too late. He was looking elsewhere. And the 2-pass. Get that commander. Did you notice? That's something else just before we finish up. You notice where Dread's commander's moving? For you newbies. Right? Dread's commander is moving towards that factory. He's trying to get under the factory as overhead cover so that those bombers take out the factory rather than the commander. That was a good move. Unfortunately, it was just a little too slow. If he'd given that commander 10 seconds earlier, that command 10 seconds earlier, that commander would probably have survived and given the air enough time to defend, although I don't think he had enough air to really defend. Let's have a look at how many were lost on that first pass. To still have 69 minus 3, so about 66, right? They were lost quite... Oh no, that's because of the explosion. But it's hard to say. There were squalls around which would have dealt blows. There were a Phoenix in there. No more AA defense for Kiwi. So I think if that commander got under the factory, he might have survived that. Just about. But that's very close. Anyway, folks, that's been me. I've been Marshall. Thank you very much for watching. Do have a conversation in the comments. What were the highlights you thought of this game? And I tell you what a highlight would be is if you were to subscribe and share and like and all of that. Interactions with the videos really helps me out. And I will hopefully upload some more very, very soon. As always, though, I've been Marshall, and thank you very much for watching. Have a good one.